Hello everybody, welcome to Snyder's Inc. And today we've got a top 5 unknowns video. And this video is 10 darkest cartoon conspiracy theories. We won't get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, comment, link down below. If you'd like to help the channel with a donation, you can leave a super thanks or a link to our PayPal is in the description. If you've been wondering where the heck I've been, check the community page. You'll find out a proud accomplishment that I was able to do. Let's go.
Behind the colorful animations and whimsical characters lies a world of hidden agendas. Some have come to suggest that our favorite shows may be more than just harmless cartoons. Number 10. In 2005, Avatar: The Last Airbender was televised for 3 seasons on Nickelodeon. The show is set in an Asian-influenced martial arts and elemental manipulation world. It follows the life of the main protagonist, Aang, and his friends. Together, they must save the world and defeat Fire Lord Ozai, putting an end to the destructive war. Aang is the incarnation of the Avatar, the spirit of the world that is manifested into a human form. The Avatar must restore balance among the nations. One intriguing theory proposed by a dedicated fan on the subreddit Fan Theories suggests that the show is actually set in a post-apocalyptic future. In this world, genetic engineering has run rampant, leading to the creation of bending, a form of martial arts that allows users to control the 4 elements. This combination allowed the people to take control of the elements and is even passed along to offspring. But not all humans can afford this kind of expensive treatment, which is why some non-bending humans are left in the world. These benders are dangerous, and so the government seizes its opportunity to make some walking bioweapons, establish.
The theories that people come, these are just TV shows, right? These are just TV shows that in cartoons that people come up with theories for. I am listening to this because I'm just curious what theories they come up with. This one's insane that they've just used all benders as government-made weapons. Very much.
Establishing the Avatar program. This individual would be trained from birth to become more powerful than the others, with his nanites storing all the information from the past avatars that could be used in his prowess as a defensive mechanism. The genetic engineering aspect of the conspiracy theory also explains why so many strange animals are walking around. The usual animals were replaced by creatures that were a direct result of a society out of control with their gene slicing. At some point in this world, there was an apocalyptic event that eradicated all of the technological aspects, and the only remnant of that world was elemental bending. Further evidence for the post-apocalyptic theory can be found in the time gap between Avatar 1 and Avatar Aang. 1 was the first Avatar, who existed 10,000 years prior to Aang. But only a little has changed in society during this time. Supporting evidence for the idea that something went horribly wrong, resulting in the deformed animals and the loss of much of the technology, is that Korra lives in an advanced technological age, set just 70 years after Aang. Why didn't anything change between Wan and Aang in 10,000 years, but in just 70 years, there were some obvious futuristic advances? The apocalypse might be to blame. According to theorists,
yeah, but there ain't no apocalypse that's gonna cause the Earth to be unable to be handled for 10,000 years. Like, you know, we gotta be doing something within 10,000 years, right? We gotta get, even if apocalypse happened, something had to change within 10,000 years.
Some apocalyptic event must have taken place to destroy technological infrastructure and mutate the animals. Other conspirators believe that the show may represent some real-world events. One of these events is the Second World War. Avatar opens with a long war as its backdrop, the 100 Years' War. The Fire Nation started it, and almost every other nation was involved. Entire people were wiped out, and the powerful nation showed clear technological advancements, which seems a bit familiar. Another historical parallel compares Amon to Joseph Stalin, the leader of the USSR. This leads to another theory that the 100 Years' War may have been a reference to the Cold War. Some theorists have also suggested that White Lotus Society could reference some very real-life societies. The White Lotus is a shadowy organization made up of veteran warriors who act alongside the Avatar, which some believe may relate to actual events that have occurred throughout history. Another odd conspiracy theory relating to the show is that it never occurred on Earth, but rather on a much smaller planet. Evidence supporting this idea is that the islands are very close together. A smaller planet may also mean less gravity, which is likely why the characters can jump as high as they do and maneuver gracefully in the air. This could also explain why such large animals like lion turtles, flying bison, and polar bear dogs are roaming the planet. Number 9. In 1998, a fan-favorite cartoon series made its way onto Nickelodeon. CatDog aired for 3 seasons until 2005.
That sounds lame as shit. If someone said, hey, you want to watch a show called CatDog, I would be like, no, I don't.
Depicting the life of Siamese twin brothers. Half is a cat and the other half is a dog. The show follows the life of cat and dog, who are conjured twin hybrids who share the same body. They have no tail and no hind.
So my guess is this, the conspiracy theory for this one is them two are a science experiment. Is that what the reveal is going to be? Them two are a science experiment. Gone wrong.
Legs. Cat is the smarter of the two and is certainly a lot more cunning. He devises some evil plots to trick Dog into getting what he wants. One such instance was when he tried to make him smarter so that he could have more in common with him. Dog, on the other hand, is the happy-go-lucky type. He seems more naive out of the two of them. Winslow is another supporting character, a mouse who lives in a hole in the twins' house. Dog doesn't mind the mouse, but Cat and Winslow don't really get along. Another character is Rancid Rabbit, the show's antagonist, who hates the pair and tries to find ways to punish them or force them into working for him. The show itself was already rather bizarre before the conspiracy theories came into play. The first theory suggests that the characters are the result of a nuclear disaster.
Close. I thought science experiment, nuclear disaster. I was close. Didn't get it, but was close.
It needs to be explained how the two fuse together, leaving viewers digging for answers and explanations. Fans had to fill in the gaps, resulting in a Chernobyl-like nuclear event. While this theory isn't the most logical, neither is conjoined cross-species. A Facebook user named Nick Montgomery offered this theory. He argued that the animals had been the result of a nuclear accident that infected the creatures with radiation and caused them to fuse together. He also explained that the mutation allows the infected animals' bodies to stretch in an unnatural way. This is shown in the fused cat and dog. But there are other clues as to why this may be the case, and that the animals lived in a post-apocalyptic backdrop. Nick refers to the urban deprivation that we see in the opening scenes and throughout the series. He also notes that the city is almost deserted, the streets are covered in trash, and many buildings seem as though they're not being lived in. He then points to a particular episode titled Workforce, in which the twins work at a factory that Rancid Rabbit owns. In this episode, the factory can be seen polluting waters by allowing green sludge to run into it. Regular health and safety protocols clearly don't apply to this area. Furthermore, Lola, the bird character who has an interest in zoology, isn't really an animal, but rather a human being in a hazardous material suit. This may also apply to the rabbit, his ears being the radio part of the suit. Evidence for this can be found in the fact that he has difficulty hearing, and
This is insane. I know the thought that, like, why are we so focused on character, like, conspiracy theories? Like, this one just, it's a stupid TV show. It's a dumb TV show. I don't see the point of it.
Regularly speaks to himself. Lola isn't CatDog's neighbor by pure chance, but is intentionally living there to monitor this fused creature's lifestyle changes and survival skills. Rancid Rabbit also plays the part of town scavenger, who Montgomery believes is trying to profit from the disaster. This is supported by the work that he's engaged in, which is always trying to make money and control the Nuremberg citizens. While it is a conspiracy theory work in progress, it's maybe a convincing argument that answers at least 2 of the questions about the show. Why is Nuremberg dilapidated and empty? And how did cat and dog become fused? Number 8. The animated TV series called Doug premiered on Nickelodeon in 1991, along with Rugrats and Ren and Stimpy. The show follows the life of a 6th grader named Doug Funny. He moved to Bluffington with his family and their pet dog, Pork Chop. He made 2 friends in his new place, Skeeter Valentine and Patty Mayonnaise. There are many conspiracy theories centering around this character and the show as a whole. Some include that the boy is addicted to a narcotic, but the leading theory here paints Doug as someone who has a psychiatric issue. They attribute this idea to his daydreaming tendencies, which blur the lines between fantasy and reality. Doug is shown to have a rather overactive imagination and a superhero alter ego. He's living an imaginary life, which may explain why everyone is a different color in the show, such as yellow, purple, and green. One piece of supporting evidence for this theory can be found in the episode.
This one I can get behind. This one I could buy.
Where he rides a bike into traffic during one of his delusions or fantasies. These daydreaming episodes are far too vivid to be a regular fantasy. Doug cannot separate reality from fantasy. On many occasions, his delusions often put him in some pretty risky situations, which some believe is the symptom of something that requires a medical diagnosis. Another conspiracy states that all of the events that take place in the cartoon are nothing more than the manifestation of the boy's imagined narratives that he's writing in his journal. Doug is writing his own story, in which he's the main character, the superhero named Quail Man. An alternate theory suggests that both the boy and his sister Judy take a kind of substance that makes them act strangely, which makes Judy act out violently towards her brother, especially when she wants to keep him out of her room. Then we have the conspiracy theories that bridge.
I'm more gonna go with a drug one. I like the one where the guy has like a psychotic or has issues and delusions. I like that one. I keep forgetting what the word's called. Psychedelic? Is that what it's called? That sounds like something you take. That sounds like a drug thing. I don't remember what the word's called. But yeah, I like that one better than they take drugs as children.
The gaps between cartoons and adult shows. One Reddit user came to suggest that Doug is the young version of JD from Scrubs. JD and Doug both daydream to the extreme, and none of their family or friends prevent them from doing this. The two share the fear of failure, and even keep a diary or journal. Both of the characters regularly self-sabotage their love life. Cartoon Justice, a Reddit user who produced this strange theory, explained that the young Doug Yancey Funny was traumatized by his parents and their separation. He gave up his dream of a music career and went to medical school. His daydreaming tendencies follow him to adulthood, possibly because it's a sign of a psychiatric disorder.
Psychiatric, that's what the word is. Psychiatric. He's got a psychiatric issue.
Number 7. In 1998, The Wild Thornberrys found its way onto Nickelodeon. It ran until 2004, with reruns pressing until 2007. The series followed the hijinks of the Thornberry family, who traveled the world. It centers around Nigel, a nature documentarian, and his family, including Elizabeth, also known as Eliza, Deborah or Debbie, Lady Marianne Hunter, Darwin, and Donald. The conspiracy theory focuses on Eliza, who has the strange ability to talk to animals after she encounters a shaman. This character has orange hair and freckles. She has a rather extensive zoological knowledge and a companion monkey. The name Eliza comes from Dr. Dolittle in the film My Fair Lady. Some theorists have come to suggest that she can't actually talk to animals, but is suffering from a diagnosed psychiatric disorder that causes hallucinations. She can't live an entirely normal life, which may be why the family keeps moving from place to place. They know about her hallucinations, but act as though it's not happening because they don't want to destroy her reality. They go along with the delusions, allowing her to believe that they're real. This suggestion was brought to the subreddit Fan Theories.
That's just fucked up as a theory. That's a fucked up theory because that makes the family look fucked. That just makes the family look messed up. That can't be the theory. That is not a theory. No, I refuse to have that. No, that is not a theory that's happening.
When one individual rewatched the show, he'd never thought of such a theory before, but believed it could be plausible. Another Reddit user found a hole in the theory. They suggested that it would be a winner if it weren't for the movie. Eliza's secret about talking to animals is revealed, and she loses her ability to speak the human language. This is when the family becomes genuinely concerned. This concern contradicts the idea that she may be living in a delusion, because if they were used to her disorder, then it wouldn't be such a big deal. But this may be a new development or new symptom of her problem. An alternate theory that still falls within the hallucinations idea is that the shaman had actually given her a type of medicinal herb. According to this idea, Eliza's family is strange and hard to deal with, and her convenient travels took her straight to the witch doctor. This medicinal herb or hallucinogen gives Eliza hallucinations and makes her think that she can talk to animals.
Wait a minute, hold on a minute. Is the shaman always with? Is there a shaman always with them? Cause this can't be a herb that just never stops working. So what is this? Just like, is the family just continuing to give her this herb that makes her have delusions and talk to animals? Who's giving her the thing? Cause the shaman's not always with them.
But it's simply a side effect of a narcotic. One of the first animals she speaks to is Darwin, the chimpanzee, who she named after someone that she thought Nigel would approve of. This works in the chimp's favor, so he follows her everywhere. He talks her out of some dangerous antics, which theorists believe is Eliza's consciousness speaking to her through Darwin, while trapped in never-ending episodes due to the hallucinogens. According to the conspiracy theories, the girl is either living in a delusion due to a psychiatric disorder, or the entire show is based on sporadic hallucinogenic episodes. Number
There's both messed up. That's not what's happening here.
6. King of the Hill, the American animated sitcom.
Oh my god, I never knew there was a King of the Hill conspiracy theory. What a show. What a show.
Began
Love this show.
in 1997 and ran until 2010, with a reboot in 2023. It takes place in a fictional Texas suburb.
Wait, there was a reboot of this in 2023? I never knew that. I never knew that. Holy shit, that's insane.
American animated sitcom began in 1997 and ran until 2010, with a reboot in 2023. It takes place in a fictional Texas suburb known as Arlen. We follow the lives of the characters including Hank Hill, a longtime propane salesman, his wife Peggy, a substitute Spanish teacher, and his son Bobby. Hank's friend and neighbor Bill plays a part of a divorced army barber, along with the conspiracy theorist and pest exterminator Dale Gribble. The show caters more to an adult audience as it tackles some adult issues and humor. This conspiracy theory questions Bobby's parentage. The series depicts Hank as the boy's father, but theorists believe that someone else may be the real one, stereotypically the neighbor, Bill. Theorists start their supporting evidence with episode 39, where Hank reveals that he cannot father any children with Peggy. This occurs again in season 3, when he's sent to the doctor after Peggy fails to get pregnant despite various attempts. This is the ultimate piece of evidence that takes Hank out of the question entirely. There's now no doubt that Hank cannot be the father, and the theorists then move on to possible candidates for Bobby's real dad, and all roads lead to Bill. First, Bill and Bobby are very much the same. They're overweight, short, and have incredible appetites. Hank and his alleged son, though, have no similarities at all.
Okay, this is one that has some merit. This has some merit. I've not watched King of the Hill in a while, so I don't remember things much from him, except that the guy was propane. If that is a thing that's revealed, that he can't father children, he can't father any children with the mother, then yeah, Bobby is no way. Or Bob is no way, the child is no way Hank's. So it has to be someone else's. And he does look like him.
Later, though, the son does begin to take an interest in hunting and grilling, just like Hank, but his physical attributes still rule him out as a relative. Peggy also shows apparent resentment for Bill, which may be caused by the stress of thinking or possibly knowing that he's the biological father. In another episode, Bill becomes upset after learning that Dale will pass down a legacy to his son, but he has no one to whom he can pass down his tradition. Or does he? In the same episode, the neighbor decides to give his secret family recipe to the young Bobby, so that the family name will be remembered. Throughout the series, we regularly see the two bonding and becoming good friends. such as in the It Came From the Garage episode, where they enter a boat building competition, which should be more of a father-son bonding experience. If that wasn't enough evidence already, Bill has a crush on Peggy that seems to come back continuously. He often makes bumbling remarks about her and speaks highly about the woman. This is likely because they were engaged in an affair or dated before her marriage to Hank. In the episode Hank's on Board, Bill even admits to this, stating, "I have a confession." Later on, we even learn that Peggy had also been with someone else before Hank, but writes it off as nothing more than a fling. But why did Bill agree to have Hank raise his child? According to theorists, Dale discovered that Bill had been the subject of an experimental project that was called Operation Infinite Walrus, an operation designed to make human super soldiers.
What? You just couldn't come up with a better reason? Your reason couldn't have been that he just doesn't know? Your reason couldn't have been that he just doesn't know if that's the case? Instead, you had to go with the government and the fucking super soldier thing. Why the fuck have we turned this upside down?
Dale believes that this is why the man has gained so much weight, but it's later revealed that he was given nothing more than the placebo. Or so we thought. The project could have gone horribly wrong, and the government wanted to evade having to pay for medical expenses associated with botching a person's brain. The soldier also displays some low IQ symptoms, leading to the idea that Peggy is concerned about his mental capacity for fatherhood. Perhaps she convinced him to allow Hank to raise Bobby. Number 5.
Why couldn't it just be that he doesn't know? Why couldn't that just be the case?
Next set of conspiracies may completely ruin everyone's favorite robot, Wally. Theories range.
Oh, this one is Wally's murdered all other robots of his, right? I'm pretty sure that's the theory for this one. I'm pretty sure that's it.
From robotic cannibalism to who really doomed the planet. In 2008, the computer-animated live-action hybrid Wall-E was released. It was a romantic comedy drama sci-fi film that followed the life of a robot whose purpose was to clean up the waste-covered Earth for the future. Humans abandoned the planet and were living in outer space. They sent another robot, Eve, to Earth to determine if life remained there. Wall-E fell in love with her and even followed her to space, changing the destiny of the entirety of humanity. Mr. Bananas took to the fan theories subreddit, titling his post, "Wall-E, the little robot that destroyed Earth." This protagonist is the only one left of his own kind, bringing us to the first theory of the little robot's cannibalistic tendency, where we see him removing the treads off of a fallen comrade. He didn't even have a second thought about it, and would probably regularly take parts from his brethren and store it all in his trailer, with other trinkets that he needed to protect from the other robot units. Hundreds of these units have been trying to eliminate all the trash for the last 700 years, yet only one remains. Wall-E appears to have a more logical brain than his counterparts, and can fix himself using spares from those fallen units. This means that either those robots weren't intelligent enough to repair themselves when they malfunctioned, or one particular unit destroyed them all, so that he could carry on existing. The lone robot made some progress until he went rogue. He hadn't been doing the best job, and regularly refused to crush particular objects. Still, the others had been destroying and compacting everything, including some of the trinkets Wall-E wanted, hence their sudden demises. This cannibalistic trait allowed the unit to continue the 700-year job, but he still didn't compact and decimate everything that he should have been. The progress required by the 700 years still needed to be met. Of course, there exist some holes in this theory. This one robot would have had to travel everywhere on the planet to get rid of all the other robots, which seems impossible since he travels relatively slowly. But he likely only ended those in his immediate surroundings. If Wall-E hadn't taken apart his fellow units, there would have been much more progress, and if he hadn't followed Eve onto the Axiom, he may have been able to finish up some of the project, allowing the people to return to the planet. But maybe they were never planning on returning in the first place. Some believe that those living on the Axiom, the spaceship supporting humans until they can recolonize Earth, may be consuming those who have passed away. Evidence for this can be found in the fact that there are no animals on board or plant life, yet the people eat cupcakes in a cup. Theorists point out that no bodies can be seen in the trash disposal area, and there aren't any floating about in space, so where are they? It would make sense for the facility to be recycling human bodies for consumption. Otherwise, given the lack of plants and livestock, they might be faced with starvation.
I mean, you know, this sounds dark as hell, but I could buy it. That makes sense. That adds up.
The autopilot, who's simply named Otto, follows the directive A113, which stops him from allowing people to return to Earth. He has no sympathy for the people either, so if they had to consume one another, he wouldn't care, and it would actually help him by auto-filling tasks. This form of recycling prevents the Axiom from returning to Earth for resources. This conspiracy fills in some plot holes and makes some unexplained areas make more sense. Number 4. The Lion King is an animated musical drama that contains elements of both Hamlet and Macbeth by William Shakespeare. It follows the life of the young lion prince Simba, who's the heir of Pride Rock. But his father Mufasa meets his demise by the paws of his brother Scar. Scar takes over the pride and Simba runs away. He does return years later after much convincing from his old friend Nala. He fights off the hyenas and Scar with the help of a bird advisor, Zazu, Timon the meerkat, and Pumbaa the warthog. There are several conspiracy theories about the movie, such as Scar being a cannibal, Mufasa being the villain, and Zazu being a traitor. But this conspiracy centers around Simba's role in the drought that struck the land, starving the lions and allowing Scar to rule. When the villain took the life of the king and chased away the prince, the land became dry and food became scarce. Close to the end of the film, we see this event's effect on the Pride Lands. Dried up carcasses litter the expanse, and the land is covered in dry orange sand instead of the lush green that it once was. For years, we believed that this was caused by Scar becoming king, but theorists provide an alternate theory. Simba caused the drought. All the past kings take their place in the sky, specifically in the clouds. In some scenes, Mufasa even looks down at his son. But what else is associated with the clouds? Rain. When the rightful king fled to the outer parts of the valley, the rain followed him. The cub lived in the tropical jungle for years, along with Timon and Pumbaa. It was enough time for the young lion cub to be able to turn into a fully grown adult lion. Pride Rock went that many years without any rain, leading to a drought. Later on in the movie,
I don't know if that's how rain worked in this world, but that adds up. That adds up.
The adult Nala finds the long-lost prince, but he refuses to return. But later he changes his mind and heads for the Pride Lands. On his way there, we can see the thunderous clouds rolling behind him. A fight ensues between the lions and Scar when he reaches the area, and a fire even breaks out. The villainous lion is then overpowered by the hyenas, who also decide to rise against him. Simba takes his place on the rock, and not long after, the rain starts to fall. The fires dwindle, and the lush greenery soon returns, and the drought is over. It was not due to the control of Scar or the hyena population explosion, but rather the drought came when the king abandoned his people and took the wisdom of the elders along with him. If Simba hadn't left or stayed in the shadows, then there would have been no drought, and the pride would have been able to have enough sustenance to overpower the evil lion and his hyena army. Scar controlled the food, and the lions only had very few portions of what was available. Food would have been less scarce if there had been more greenery, water, and rain. With that, Simba would have also been able to grow up in his homeland and defeat his evil uncle when he was older. According to theorists, the drought was entirely avoidable, and so was the length and success of Scar's reign. Number 3. In 2004, an American animated superhero film called The Incredibles was released. It's centered around a family of heroes, each with their own power, who fought to save the world. Bob Parr, also known as Mr. Incredible, is a superhero with mega strength, while his wife Helen, or Elastigirl, fights crime using her stretch powers. The two have 3 children together. Jack, the youngest, who turns out to be the most powerful in the family, even though he's just a baby. Violet is the eldest, who can turn herself invisible and create force fields. And then there's the middle child, Dash, who's unnaturally fast. The main villain in The Incredibles is an orange-haired antagonist named Buddy Pine, who uses the pseudonym Syndrome, and also plays an essential part in this conspiracy theory. Syndrome is the son of Mr. Incredible, according to theorists. The theory starts by pointing out that all the villains are created as a direct result of the superheroes. Syndrome, in particular, seems obsessed with the Parr family, specifically Bob. It's noted that he actually worshipped this hero at one point. Supporting evidence for the allegation that the two are related can be found in the fact that the villain always wants to spend some quality time with Mr. Incredible. It's theorized that Buddy's mother may have dated Bob when he was younger, quite a few years preceding his marriage to Helen, resulting in the orange-haired villain. He's obviously older than any of Bob's children, since Syndrome's prologue is set around 15 years prior to their birth. The two officially met in the superhero's car, and they bore a striking resemblance. The child even named his alter ego Incrediboy, suggesting a role model connection or a father-son relationship. After rejecting the boy, the prologue ends, and Bob starts his new life, and a few years pass by. Bob is likely unaware of this individual being his son, and so Syndrome thinks that if he can get close enough to him, he can break the news. But instead, he's rejected, which devastates him, turning him into a vengeful bad guy. His motivations include wanting to prove himself to the hero, even while despising him, as well as insecurity from his rejection. The villain is also incredibly callous about ending the Parr family, suggesting that he's jealous of his father's willingness to give up his independence for them and not for him. Looking back at the prologue, when Mr. Incredible rejects Buddy, he tells one of the officers to take him home and make sure that his mother knows what he's been doing. While it's initially believed that Bob has no idea that the boy is his son, there's also the possibility that he does know, which may explain why he doesn't say parents or refer to a father figure. Then we come to the various similarities between the two. They both have blue eyes, wide jawlines, and the same nose. Syndrome has a smaller build than Mr. Incredible, but their shapes remain similar. Additionally, they both have some pretty severe anger problems. Many conspiracy theorists have taken the time to sift through the movie to find any possible evidence that Bob and Buddy are father and son. Believers of this theory then suggest that the film be rewatched with this idea in mind. Number 2. These intriguing theories, which have been circulating since the days of the Flintstones, the pioneering animated sitcom that debuted on ABC in 1960, continue to captivate our imagination. The series, set in the town of Bedrock, chronicles the lives of Fred Flintstone, his wife Wilma, and their neighbors Barney and Betty Rubble. The four characters, rather than attempting to create Stone Age versions of modern infrastructure, transportation, tools, and communication methods, may actually be trying to recreate them. According to this conspiracy theory, the Flintstones timeline is actually set in the future. Evidence for this theory, and what initiated it in the first place, revolves around the 1987 movie The Jetsons Meet the Flintstones. The Jetsons are a family in another cartoon series that follows the lives of a futuristic family in the sky. Some suggest that before the arrival of the Jetsons, there was an immense global event that almost destroyed the planet, ultimately forcing the remainder of humanity to move to the upper atmosphere. But some individuals, though, choose to remain on Earth. Another cataclysmic event, according to this conspiracy, sent them hurtling back towards the Stone Age. This could explain the numerous cultural references, pseudo-modern technology, and knowledge of Albert Einstein and the Beatles scattered throughout the series. The conspiracy posits that the Jetsons and the Flintstones coexist on the same timeline. In the crossover movie, Elroy Jetson didn't invent a time machine, but rather a device similar to an elevator or transporter, allowing them to descend to ground level. One alternate theory suggests that the Sky People may even be sending people to the ground as punishment, possibly erasing their memories and placing them back into the Stone Age. But they still have some knowledge of certain things, which is why the ground people are trying to recreate previous inventions. The two families have some similarities, but also many differences. The Jetsons represent concepts like fast moving, laziness, and complacency, whereas the Flintstones are slower, primitive, and ignorant. One Reddit user took another angle on the idea. He suggested that the ground may have been made into a poverty-stricken area for lower-class families, while the sky had been reserved for the upper class to preserve one's social status. To keep both civilizations separate, those in power allowed the Sky People to believe that they exist in a futuristic timeline, which is why there's an abundance of technology at their disposal.
That one I like.
Allowing Elroy to make his teleporting device. Or did he invent a time machine to return to prehistoric times? Of course, this doesn't explain many aspects of the show, such as the various cultural references and supposedly futuristic knowledge. Adding to supporting evidence of the theory that both shows exist on the same timeline is the fact that the Stone Age family sometimes sends things to the sky, but they never return. This could be because the items are being destroyed by the upper-class skyfolk. There exists only one point of contention for this conspiracy. It's explained that people live in the sky due to the effects of the smog that covers the surface, which could be toxic if inhaled, which means that the device was a time machine since no smog was found when they reached the ground. But this point of contention may even work in favor of the conspiracy theory, because the existence of the poisonous smog could be yet another lie to keep the upper and lower classes separate. Number 1. Garfield, the round-bodied lasagna-loving orange tabby cat, captivated audiences when Jim Davis released his first Garfield comic strip on the 19th of June in 1978. The comic's rapid popularity led to its adaptation into an animated television series, spawning 3 more programs. Movies were also based on the cat and his family, which included Odie the dog and John Arbuckle, the owner or companion. But a fascinating conspiracy theory has emerged, suggesting that everything in the cartoon is a product of imagination. This intriguing theory has sparked the curiosity of many fans. In the 1978 comic, John opens the first strip with, "Hi, I'm John, I'm a cartoonist." And this is where the fun begins. Ever wonder why Garfield and Odie never fall ill from their coffee consumption? Perhaps it's because they aren't real and are merely John's drawings. Everything that happens is just the next part of the comic strip. But in other media, John isn't making comics. This brings us to the first branch. Odie and Garfield exist, but the cartoons are just their owner's way of portraying what he believes the 2 pets think of him. Garfield's "oh brother" attitude towards John suggests that John could be a goofy individual, outside of creating comics, and cats are believed to think of us as bigger and dumber cats. Another theory proposes that Garfield has already passed away, and the cartoon drawings are a way of coping for the cartoonist. But the next conspiracy is far more shocking and focuses more on the cat himself. This theory takes us back to the comic strips. In October of 1989, the 3 companions' comedic bliss was shattered when the orange tabby woke up finding himself all alone in the house. The comic strip follows Garfield for the next 5 days, and he realizes that he's been abandoned. In the last segment, the comic focuses on the cat's eye, stating that he had a horrific realization and that he only has one weapon remaining. The next piece stated denial. Right after this, John and Odie suddenly reappear, subsequently leading to the conspiracy theory that he imagined them. This could also explain why he and Odie are able to eat whatever they want in the cartoon as well without falling ill. Supporting evidence for this conspiracy comes in the final frame. Jim Davis writes that the imagination can be a powerful tool and has the ability to tint memories and shape perceptions. According to the conspiracy, the Garfield universe is not about a man, a dog, or a cat, but rather the delusions of a pet that's been left behind to fend for himself in an end-of-the-world place. An alternate theory was that he wasn't abandoned, but that John had actually passed away, and Odie was nowhere to be found and could have possibly run off. It's also thought that the delusions Garfield is supposedly perceiving may be an effect of starvation, since there was no one there to feed him. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this reaction video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all for the next one.